from the Northern Kentucky University George and Ellen Revachol Digitorium, we present the Kentucky gubernatorial debate between incumbent Democratic Governor Andy Beshear and GOP nominee Attorney General Daniel Cameron. Tonight's debate is sponsored by WCPO9 in Cincinnati, Link NKY, the League of Women Voters of Kentucky, and the Northern Kentucky Forum, with media partners LEX18 in Lexington, WDRB in Louisville, WPSD Local 6 in Paducah, and WNKY News 40 in Bowling Green. And now, moderator Evan Millward.
Good evening to you. Thank you so much for being with us for the 2023 Kentucky gubernatorial debate, live from Northern Kentucky University in Highland Heights, a packed house, I might add. I'm Evan Millward. I'm here to guide you through tonight's debate. But let's please welcome the two candidates vying for the governor's office in November's election, Democratic candidate and Kentucky's current governor, Mr. Andy Beshear, and Republican candidate, current Attorney General, Mr. Daniel Cameron. Let's have a round of applause for them. Gentlemen, thank you so much for agreeing to be part of our debate tonight. We're looking forward to hearing from you both. We also need to thank the NKU staff, students, and President Katie Short-Thompson for your support and for the use of this digitorium space that we're in tonight. Let's have a round of applause for them. And tonight you're going to meet three panelists who are ready to question our candidates in this debate. They are LEX18 anchor Larry Smith, WDRB anchor Gilbert Coursey, and Link NKY managing editor Megan Goth. A round of applause for our journalists from across the Commonwealth. This debate is nonpartisan. None of the sponsors, nor the media partners, nor the host endorse either candidate or a political party. So, that all out of the way, let's get started. As we go through this debate, I'll explain how we got to some of these processes and the rules. Tonight, first, we flipped a coin in front of the candidates' campaigns to determine the order of presentation. Here's how that works. Whoever delivers the first opening statement will go second. Then we also flip for the first question. We will alternate each question who answers first. Each candidate has 90 seconds for his opening statement. Governor Beshear has won the coin toss here. He's chosen to deliver his opening statement first. So, Governor Beshear, the floor is yours for 90 seconds.
Kentucky, we've been through a lot together. A pandemic, tornadoes, flooding, windstorms, ice storms, even the polar plunge. Yet I am here tonight more excited, more optimistic, and more hopeful for our future than at any time in my lifetime. In many ways, it's like we're living that 30th Psalm, the one that says, weeping may linger in the evening, but joy comes in the morning. We have gotten through that difficult evening, and now we're seeing that wondrous morning. We are on a win streak, the likes of which we have never seen. Our two best years of economic development. We're number 2 in per capita economic development in the country, number 3 in creating rural jobs. We brought in a record $27.5 billion of new investment, the lowest annual unemployment rate ever, the lowest monthly unemployment rate ever. We're building the 2 biggest battery plants on planet Earth. We're building the Brent Spence Companion Bridge without tolls, and we're even bringing a Margaritaville here to Northern Kentucky. Tonight, you are going to see a contrast, a vision versus division. I'll talk about my record and plans for the future, but what you're going to hear from the other side are attacks. The last debate, he mentioned the word jobs 0 times, but Joe Biden's name 16. But we worked real hard to get sports betting passed, so let's have some fun. I'm placing the over-under on the number of times my opponent says Joe Biden at 16.5. So place your bets, and let's go.
Attorney General Cameron, you have 90 seconds for your opening statement.
Well, it is a delight to be here tonight, and it's been an honor to serve as the Attorney General as I've been standing up for your constitutional rights and our common sense values. Now, Andy Beshear and Joe Biden will tell you that everything is good in this country, but that's certainly not the case. I suspect that you are concerned about inflation destroying your wallet. You're concerned about the far left indoctrinating your kids and Joe Biden's war on coal. Now, what Andy Beshear and I do agree on is that this race isn't about Republican versus Democrat. What we differ on, however, is what it is about. I think it's about crazy versus normal. And I think it's crazy to have a governor who openly endorses Joe Biden, doesn't protect women's sports from biological males, puts criminals back on the streets, vetoes tax cuts, shuts down your small businesses, our schools, and shut down your churches. But ladies and gentlemen, we do not have to at all accept the crazy Biden and Beshear agenda. We can have a Commonwealth that is about good quality schools, making sure that we stand up for our teachers, that we keep our streets safe from crime and drugs, and we get folks working again, and we eliminate Kentucky's income tax. That's where we can go together. I hope you will vote for me on November 7th. Thank you so much.
All right, we got some questions for you both now. The candidates haven't seen any of these questions that are going to be asked of them tonight. Here's how this section will work. Candidates, you'll each have 60 seconds to answer each question. The candidate who answers first will be permitted a 30-second rebuttal if the other candidate mentions you by name in his answer. The coin toss for the first question went to Governor Beshear. We will start then. You will start first answer of the first question. Let's start with our man from Louisville, WDRB anchor Gilbert Coursey. The first question to Governor Beshear.
Evan, thank you. Gentlemen, thank you for being here. It is an honor to be a panelist here tonight. Let's start in the category of labor. Right now, 8,700 people are on strike at a Ford plant in Louisville. The UAW, one of many strikes that we've seen recently, from manufacturing to healthcare, even to Hollywood. So, Governor Beshear, what would your administration's policy be on balancing workers' rights, business interests, and the economic impact of union strikes?
Well, I'm proud to be a governor endorsed by the UAW and that has landed the biggest investment in the history of Ford Motor Company, a really proud company. What we have to have here is a win-win. Our UAW families are fighting for better wages and better health care benefits, something we should want for every single one of our citizens. We need them to come out of this, being able to provide more opportunity for their kids, a better future here in Kentucky. But we also need a strong Ford coming out of it. They invested $5.8 billion in our Commonwealth. We're building the 2 biggest battery plants on planet Earth. And I was the governor that struck the deal for them to re-up that Kentucky truck plant to make the new F-250, investing hundreds of millions of dollars in preserving all of those jobs. This isn't an either or. We need the UAW to come out in a strong place and Ford to come out in a strong place too.
A follow-up to you, Governor Beshear. You are proud of your UAW support, but part of the reason that those workers are on strike right now is that they are worried, though, that the jobs at the battery plant will be non-union, and that will take away union jobs. So the question is, what have you done to prevent that from happening?
When we landed the largest investment in the history of the Commonwealth, $5.8 billion, 5,000 new jobs coming to Glendale, making us the electric vehicle battery production capital of the United States of America, right here in Kentucky. We knew it was not only going to ensure we were a part of the automotive future, that we didn't lose jobs that some other states might be, but that we would also preserve those jobs at LAP and at the Kentucky truck plant. We realized that where the batteries are going to bring in the rest of the industry, from the supply chain to EV to also the assembly work. Landing that ensured we will be an automotive leader into the future. So I'm the only person on this stage that both has the cell phone number of the local UAW president as well as most of these Ford officials. We can get this done. We must get it done. And it has to be a win-win now and for the future.
Attorney General Canberman, to you, what would your administration's policy be on balancing workers' rights, business interests, and the economic impact of union strikes? I should say 60 seconds.
Well, Gilbert, thank you for that question. And I think that we have to have a swift resolution of what is going on, not only at the Ford plant here in Louisville, but also as we see this transpiring across the nation. But I also want to say unequivocally that I support our workers. And it's no question that we are in this mess because of the inflationary pressures that are coming from Washington, D.C. And wages need to be increased. These workers know that, but they are having to deal with the challenge of more expensive groceries, more expensive gas, and more expensive childcare. What I think is incredibly important is that you have a governor that eliminates the income tax to make sure that these folks have more money in their pocket to pay for those things that I just talked about, and also, again, increase their wages at the plant. I support the workers and will make sure that they have leadership in the governor's office that works for them.
I'll follow up to you, Attorney General Cameron. You had previously criticized what you called, quote, green energy fantasies. Well, those EV battery plants are going up in your old stomping grounds in Hardin County. Those jobs are very real. It's 5,000 of them, as Ford has said. So who deserves the credit for Kentucky landing that mega project?
Well, look, I applaud the work of our legislature. Look, on every economic policy that has been of benefit to Kentucky, this governor has stood on the opposite side, whether it be prevailing wage or right to work or cutting your taxes. This governor has been on the other side of it. It is because of the work of our legislature, folks like Chris McDaniel and Senator Schickel, who have done the good and responsible work of making sure that we have a pro-business environment. And on top of that, one of the reasons in which these plants want to come to Kentucky is because they can be guaranteed low cost and reliable energy. And that is because of our coal industry. And right now, I am in the process of fighting the closure of 3 coal-fired plants in Kentucky, because if we lose those, we will lose our competitive advantage and we will lose reliable and low-cost energy.
We had to mention Governor Beshear. If you so choose, you have a 30-second opportunity.
This is what happens when you have one of the most partisan candidates for governor that we've seen. Anything good that happens must be the General Assembly. Anything bad that happens must be the governor. The answer to how we landed these Ford plants, because I was in the room, was together. We presented to Ford. We held a special session for Ford. We came together with an agreement about how to get them to pick us. The way we bring in jobs of the future is recognize they're not Democrat or Republican. We're not Team Red or Blue. We're just Team Kentucky.
Our next question will be from Link NKY Managing Editor Megan Goth. Attorney General Cameron, you will start with this question.
The General Assembly passed legislation in 2022 setting charter school funding and deadlines for pilot charters in Jefferson County in northern Kentucky. Since then, litigation has also been filed claiming that charter funding violates Kentucky's Constitution. What is your vision for spending on public schools, and does it include charter schools, vouchers, pay increases for teachers, or anything else?
Well, look, I appreciate that question. I'm glad to be here tonight with my wife, Mackenzie, who is a public school teacher. She spent nearly 7 years in the Oldham County school system, teaching 5th and 3rd grade. And so she, myself, my sister-in-law, who teaches in JCPS right now, want to make sure that we have a world-class education system here in Kentucky, one in which our schools are about reading, writing, and math, and they aren't incubators for liberal and progressive ideas. And I've offered the Cameron catch-up plan to catch up our kids on the disastrous decision that this governor made to shut down our schools, whether they be public or private. This governor tried to shut them down. We need leadership that's going to catch our kids up, going to make sure that we increase the salaries of our teachers, restore discipline to the classroom, and remove any bureaucracy that might exist that disconnects our teachers from our students.
Governor Beshear, what is your vision for spending on public schools? And does it include charter schools, vouchers, pay increases for teachers, or anything else?
I believe in public education. I'm a product of Kentucky's public schools, and I would not be where I am today without so many educators. I've shown how I'll stand up for public education from the time I was Attorney General. And I took Matt Bevin's sewer bill, which my opponent's running mate had championed to court, to protect the pensions of every educator, police officer, and firefighter out there, and thank goodness we won. As governor, I have stood with our public education system and against any effort to defund it. My opponent's catch-up plan has vouchers in it which would defund tens of millions of dollars in our public schools. Take money out of public schools and provide them to fancy private schools. That doesn't catch anybody up. My plan, an across-the-board 11% raise for every teacher, bus driver, mental health counselor. If we want to catch our kids up in math, they have to have a math teacher. And it's also time for universal pre-K for every 4-year-old in Kentucky.
We had to mention Attorney General Cameron. If you so choose, you have 30 seconds.
Well, the first person I'm going to enroll in the Cameron catch-up plan is Andy Beshear, because it appears he has not read my policy. My policy is about public education. I want to make sure that our schools are the best version of themselves. Again, I grew up in the Hardin County school system. My wife is a public school teacher. My sister-in-law, a public school teacher. The majority of our students are in public schools. And what Andy Beshear did in shutting down our schools for nearly 2 years is a shame. And we need a governor that is going to lean into this issue to fight for our kids and make sure that they have the best education system here possible in Kentucky.
Attorney General Cameron, thank you. Our next question, the same topic of education, coming from LEX 18 anchor Larry Smith. Governor Beshear, we will start with you.
Evan, thank you. Thank you. And again, Governor, Attorney General, thank you for your time tonight. It's an honor to be here with you. School districts all across the state are dealing with teacher shortages, obviously, and you know this, as well as too few paraprofessionals and bus drivers. Earlier this year, it was reported that at one point, Kentucky is short some 1,500 to 2,000 teachers on any given day. Kentucky's Education Commissioner recently resigned, signing the passage of Senate Bill 150, which limits sex education, transgender care, and the use of gender pronouns in schools. All this coming as reading and math scores have tanked since the pandemic. Governor Beshear, we start with you. What would your administration do in the next 4 years to reverse this course in Kentucky's public school system? You have 60 seconds.
Yeah, I think our educators recognize a governor that's been with them every step of the way, and one that's now saying for the first time they'll be with them. See, I went to court to protect the pensions of our teacher as Attorney General. This Attorney General says he would have fought to support the bill and cut those pensions. I'm out in front trying to raise teacher salaries by 11%. That'd move us in starting teacher pay from 44th to the mid-20s. If we want to make sure that we have a math teacher, a physics teacher, everything we need in our classrooms, we have to pay people closer to what they're worth. And we've got to stop doing what my opponent and Matt Bevin have consistently done, which is attack our teachers. Governor Bevin called them terrible names. This Attorney General claims they're doing terrible things in their classrooms. But I've heard it over and over across the state. People's kids aren't being exposed to things through the classroom or through libraries. They're being exposed to them through my opponent's commercials.
Attorney General, also to you, what would your administration do in the next 4 years to reverse this course in Kentucky's public school system? As a reminder, again, you have 60 seconds.
Well, the really important thing is to make sure that we put new board members on the Kentucky Board of Education and make sure that we have a new commissioner at the Kentucky Department of Education. The one that just resigned has displayed open hostility to our hardworking teachers. For instance, he went in front of the General Assembly and said that if any teacher does not embrace the far left ideology coming into our classroom, in the midst of a teacher shortage, his commissioner at the Kentucky Department of Education told those teachers they should just find another job. Governor Beshear, you were talking to my wife. You were talking to millions of teachers that reside here right in Kentucky that have a difference of opinion or different viewpoint. You should never have leadership in Frankfort that speaks down and denigrates our hardworking teachers. I'm going to be a governor who lifts our teachers up and does not pit a political party against our teachers. Everyone, Republican, Democrat, or independent, needs to be working together for the benefit of our students.
Governor Beshear, rebuttal if you so choose.
Yet my opponent claims that teachers are doing things in the classroom that they're not. That is an open attack. He said he would have fought to keep those illegal cuts in place, and ask him, he is on tape. He supports a voucher program that would take tens of millions of dollars out of our public school system, out of the paychecks of our educators, out of the resources that they need, and again, send them to fancy private schools. I support public education. He does not.
Our next question stays on the topic of education. It comes from Gilbert Coursey. We start with Attorney General Cameron on this question.
Evan, thank you. Gentlemen, some GOP lawmakers want to split up Jefferson County Public Schools in Louisville and its near 100,000 students and $2 billion budget. It may be a part of the next legislative session and a thing that the next governor will have to deal with. So, Mr. Cameron, to you first. As governor, would you push to split up Kentucky's largest school system? Why or why not?
My first priority as the next governor of Kentucky will be to make sure we are doing responsible things to benefit our kids, whether they live in Jefferson County or if they're in Fulton County or they are in Pike County. And I want to make sure that on this question or any other topic that I talk to the legislature, but not only the legislature, talk to the school board superintendent, making sure that every stakeholder, teachers included, are a part of that conversation. We obviously understand that this has come about because there were long waits and delays as it relates to bus transportation in Jefferson County, and my heart breaks over that. There were so many kids, there were stories about some children not being able to get home until 10 p.m. at night. Again, we need leadership in Frankfort that's going to bring people together. I've demonstrated in my time as Attorney General that I know how to do that. I will do it in this scenario as well to make sure that we have the best output for JCPS and all of our public schools.
I want to redirect on that question specifically so voters have a clear understanding of where you stand on this issue. Would you, as governor, push to split up JCPS?
Well, look, I don't think we need to make a rash judgment or decision. This is the difference between me and Andy Beshear. I believe in getting folks together in a room and having a conversation. Folks like Senator McDaniel or John Schickel, who are here tonight, other members of the legislature out of Jefferson County, whether they are Republican or Democrat. I want to work alongside them to get to the best answer and solution on this question. It serves no one well to make a rash judgment here in this auditorium. What we need to do is get together with the members of our legislature, our students, our parents, and our teachers to make this judgment. Again, it was heartbreaking to see that some kids were dropped off several feet away or miles away from their home. That just should not happen. We need to have a solution, but I want to make sure we get everyone around the table to have that conversation. I have the relationships in Frankfort to get it done. Andy Beshear does not.
Thank you, Mr. Cameron. To you, Mr. Beshear. Same question. Would you push as governor, if reelected, to split up JCPS? Why or why not?
Our school systems are created to be community-led. JCPS is led through a board that is elected from members of that community. A power grab by legislators to take that control away from the duly elected representatives in that county would be devastating. These are some of the same legislators that passed Matt Bevin's sewer bill and tried to cut the pensions of every teacher, police officer, and firefighter. They're the same legislators that have passed unconstitutional legislation that would take dollars out of our public schools and try to send them to private schools. We created school systems to be led by counties or the independent districts so that our parents, our citizens, could ultimately decide how our school systems move forward. And if my opponent wants to make sure that every kid gets home on time, which we need to, we ought to pay bus drivers more so we don't have a big shortage of them.
I think we ought to pay them as well.
I think you're going to have a 30-second. You mentioned your opponent, Russell.
Yeah, 30-second rebuttal.
Well, look, at the end of the day, as I said earlier, we need to make sure we have everyone talking and together on this topic. It serves no one well to make a rash decision here tonight. But I have the relationships with our legislature. I have a wife who is a school teacher, a sister-in-law who's a school teacher in JCPS. I know she was heartbroken that they had to basically sit out of school for a week because of the busing situation. Let's get it fixed so that we can educate our kids.
Thank you, gentlemen. Evan?
Megan is going to take the next question. Governor Beshear, you will start on this question. We're going to pivot topics a little bit with this one. Megan?
Thanks, Evan. Currently, Kentucky has an abortion ban whose only exception is when the life of the mother is in jeopardy. Mr. Beshear, can you clarify your position on whether there needs to be exceptions for rape or incest, and how long is that window open?
Kentucky has one of the most restrictive laws in the country. The trigger ban removes any and all options from victims of rape and incest, some as young as 9 years old. That is wrong. Yet my opponent celebrated when that law passed. He celebrated when it took effect. He's pledged to support it as it is in numerous surveys, and his lawyers are in court right now arguing that 9-year-old is not irreparably harmed if she's forced to carry her rapist's baby. It is absolutely wrong, and those individuals deserve to have options. They deserve to have choices. As Hadley said, she wasn't the first, and she won't be the last. There are people out there right now. As Attorney General, I fought for them, and I'm going to continue to fight for them. My opponent's position would give a rapist more rights than their victim. It is wrong. We need to change this law. We need to make sure that those individuals have that option.
So at how many weeks would you, for rape or incest, at what point, where's the line there?
The right way to make that decision is the way it used to be made under Roe v. Wade, taking it out of the hands of politicians and ultimately allowing courts to balance access, because that little girl might not know what she's going through for a period of time, along with the most recent scientific evidence. You know, this is the problem when people throw out week this or week that. It confuses the Kentuckians about what the law is. The law is zero. They have zero options. Think about that non-viable pregnancy where couples have been told that their baby will die moments after it's been born, but this trigger law that my opponent supports makes them give birth and hear their child die. It's extreme, it's wrong, and we really need a change.
Okay. Mr. Cameron, same question to you. In prior debates, you supported the law as is, but have since said you'd be open to exceptions. Can you clarify your position on whether there needs to be exceptions for rape or incest and how long that window is open?
Well, look, as you've heard here, I'm the pro-life candidate and Andy is the abortion candidate. And he didn't want to answer your question as it relates to what his limit is, because he doesn't want any limits on abortion. And he wants you, the taxpayer, to pay for it. When he was in my position as Attorney General, he refused to defend a 20-week ban on abortion. As governor, he has vetoed a ban on 15 weeks for abortion. And then just recently refused to sign legislation that would protect a baby that was born alive after a failed abortion. That is Andy Beshear's record on the issue of life. It's one of failure for the unborn. And let me also say this, his largest campaign contributor outside of Joe Biden is Planned Parenthood. So don't be at all fooled by the fact that Andy Beshear won't tell you what he wants in terms of limits, because his view on this is no limits and you, the taxpayer, to pay for it.
So how many weeks would you support abortions for those?
Well, I'm the pro-life candidate, and I've said that Andy Beshear is the abortion candidate. I've also said that if the legislature were to give me a bill with exceptions in it, I would certainly sign it. But Andy Beshear wants no limits on abortion. And the fact of the matter is that he doesn't want to talk about this in his extreme position on abortion because he knows that it offends the majority of Kentuckians. But I'm here to set the record straight tonight. He wants no limits on abortion, and he wants taxpayers to fund it.
Governor Beshear, rebuttal.
Now, this is a candidate that will say anything to get elected. I have always believed in reasonable restrictions, especially on late-term abortions, and I said that from the moment I started running for Attorney General over 8 years ago. But what you couldn't and didn't hear him say is that he supports, personally, exceptions for victims of rape and incest. That's because the Kentucky Right to Life survey had a full section, and they asked would he pledge to oppose those exceptions. He said yes. He signed his name to it. When someone shows you who they are, believe them.
I'd like to respond to that, if I may.
We'll go ahead and give you 30 seconds.
Again, you heard TV Andy, who tells you what you want to hear, but Frankfurt Andy does the exact opposite. Again, he vetoed legislation that would have prevented an abortion after 15 weeks, and he refused to sign a bill that would have kept a baby alive after a failed abortion. TV Andy is talking to you now, but Frankfurt Andy is extreme on abortion, wants no limits, and wants you, the taxpayers, to pay for it.
And Governor Beshear, on this question, you have the right to rebuttal. I will give you one more shot.
Yeah, that 15-week ban had no exceptions for rape and incest, showing exactly where this candidate is on it. The other bill, you already have a duty under multiple laws to make sure that any child survives, but he cannot and he will not look into the camera and tell girls like Hadley that they deserve exceptions and that he will support them. These are little kids that he would force to carry the baby of their rapist. That is wrong, that's extreme, and that's not who we are as Kentuckians.
We could spend a lot of time on this question here, it sounds like. We're about halfway through our debate tonight, so we are going to move along to another topic. We're going to go over to Larry Smith here. Attorney General Cameron, you will be the first to answer this question. Yeah.
Gentlemen, Kentucky is in the midst of phasing out its personal income tax, which currently sits at 4.5%. How does the state reduce its individual income tax without cutting social services or blowing a hole in the budget? And a reminder, 60 seconds.
Well, look, there's a philosophical difference between me and Andy Beshear on this question. Andy Beshear believes that the government is in the best position to spend and control your money. I think you, as a citizen of this Commonwealth, deserve to have more of your hard-earned money in your pocket, especially in light of what we are seeing coming out of Washington, D.C. They call it Bidenomics. The rest of us just call it record-high 40-year inflation and a war on coal. Again, it is harder to buy groceries. It is harder to purchase gas. It is harder to secure childcare. The way that we can help ease that is about eliminating the income tax, but also making sure that we are attracting more citizens into the state. That will make sure that we can keep our revenues high so that we can pay for those core services that are necessary for our Commonwealth to function.
Mr. Beshear, same question to you. How does the state reduce its income tax without cutting social services or, again, blowing a hole in the budget? You have 60 seconds.
We're having this conversation because of the red-hot economy we've worked to build. Our 2 best years of economic development ever, and this year is going to be our 3rd best ever. Since I became governor, we've had our 3 biggest budget surpluses in history, including the last one, $1.55 billion, which means we have the money to build that Brent Spence companion bridge without tolls. It means we have the money to give the 11% across-the-board raise to our teachers. And yes, it means we have the money to reduce the tax burden of our people. I'm the governor that signed a decrease in the income tax because we could afford it. I've lowered the property tax rate 3 separate times. I froze the gas tax and the motor vehicle tax when it was the toughest on our people, and we will continue to do this responsibly. But my opponent's plan, which is to eliminate it in 4 years, would turn us into Kansas, where they had to stop every infrastructure program, slashed education, slashed healthcare. That's $5 billion he would immediately remove, just crushing our state.
Mr. Cameron,
if I could, just again, a redirect once again, how do you do this without cutting social services or blowing the budget?
We do it responsibly. And while I don't agree with all the guardrails the General Assembly put on, they tried that. They didn't say we're going to cut everything within 4 years, which would crater our economy. They said if our general fund revenue is enough, if we see receipts that are high enough. Why I vetoed the first income tax reduction is it came with a whole bunch of sales tax increases, including on background checks that keep our kids safe at summer camps. The second one, I signed. I signed because I saw that our revenues were so much better that month compared to the year before, that we could afford it and afford all the services that we provide. The way we do this is responsibly, having the conversations and not making a rash plan that took Kansas in a place to where its Republican legislature had to repeal it years later. If you believe in public education, public safety, or health care, his plan would decimate all of them.
Mr. Cameron, rebuttal, 30 seconds.
Well, look, what Andy Beshear said in short is that it's an election year, so he signed the most recent version that the legislature put before him. But make no mistake about it, come next year, when our legislature is working through the process of continuing to cut our taxes here in Kentucky, Andy Beshear is not going to sign that legislation. He's going to veto it because it is not an election year, and he's untethered for any responsibility in an election season. What I'm here to tell you is that I'm going to work alongside our legislature to get our income tax rate down to 0 as quickly as we possibly can, because you deserve more of your money in your pocket.
Thank you. We go now, Gilbert Corsi, you have the next question. We're going to pivot a little bit topic again. This one goes to Governor Beshear.
Thank you, Evan. Gentlemen, our next question centers on the social worker shortage in Kentucky. A legislative hearing during the summer revealed that the turnover rate remains at about 34% for that position, even after $17,000 pay raises. Crushing caseloads, 60 to 70,000 children per social worker, and foster kids sleeping on the floor in state office buildings because there's no place to take them. So, Mr. Beshear, we will start with you. What are your tangible solutions for the social worker and foster care crisis in Kentucky?
Protecting our children is our key obligation, not just in government, but as responsible adults. Every child deserves a world free of abuse and neglect. Sadly, that's not the world we're currently living in. Our social workers are that lifeline. They go into dangerous homes and try to make the best call they can for children. They try to find the best placements that they can. And when I came into office, they were so dramatically underpaid. And the legislature had ended new pensions for any new hires and tried to illegally cut pensions for existing social workers, that the morale was as low as it's been. But we have provided historic pay raises. We are seeing our numbers go up, though we want them to go up faster. We are investing in new facilities to try to make sure that no child ever sleeps on the floor of an office building. But the world we live in means when a social worker makes that call, sadly, there is not a better option in the middle of the night where that child might not be in danger.
Mr. Cameron, same question to you. What are your solutions for the social worker and foster care crisis in Kentucky?
Well, on the foster care crisis specifically, it is an absolute tragedy that under this governor's leadership, we have kids that are sleeping on government floors in dilapidated buildings. That should never happen from our governor's office, and it certainly should never happen here in this Commonwealth. And I think it's disappointing as well. Not only is it happening in our foster care, look at our juvenile detention facilities and the challenges that exist there with sexual assault and other things. The workforce issue is a much larger conversation. Under this governor, he has told people to stay home, so much so that we have the lowest workforce participation rate in this Commonwealth's history. That is under this governor. We need a governor that's going to get folks back working again. How many of you all that are here tonight or watching on television are working every day to know that simply you are subsidizing those that Andy Beshear wants to keep at home? I want to get folks back into the work environment and make sure that we have a foster care and social services community that is amply staffed.
Thank you, Mr. Cameron. Governor Beshear, you have 30 seconds.
It is time we stop running ourselves down and start talking ourselves up. We have the lowest annual unemployment rate in our history last year, our longest period of low unemployment. We have more jobs filled right now than just about ever in our history. We look at all that is going on. Our glass isn't just half full. When it comes to the economy, our glass is so full we need a bigger glass. But when we look at foster care, our job has to be to continue to work every single day to find that right forever home for every single child.
Thank you. Attorney General Cameron, you are up next. A question from Megan.
Some House lawmakers have laid out an 18-point public safety plan. Part of that plan would allow involuntary commitment of people who are mentally ill and commit crimes. Mr. Cameron, how do we balance punishing those with mental illness who commit crimes versus providing comprehensive mental health services while also protecting the public?
Well, let me say that I applaud the legislature, those members of the conference that put forward this robust public safety plan. You know, in large part, it follows a public safety plan that I put out, a 12-point plan to address the violent crime increase that we've seen across Kentucky. You know, Andy Beshear let out of jail roughly 2,000 criminals. Until a couple of days ago, I was saying only a third of those had recommitted felony offenses. Turns out I was wrong. It's more than 50% have recommitted felony offenses, making our communities less safe and our law enforcement's job more difficult. It's why the Kentucky Fraternal Order of Police endorsed me in this campaign. They endorsed Andy Beshear in 2019, but like a lot of folks, they've seen that words are not enough. They need someone that's going to stand with them and support our law enforcement community. I will do that as the next governor of Kentucky.
All right, Mr. Beshear, same question for you. How do we balance punishing those with mental illness who commit crimes versus providing comprehensive mental health services while also protecting the public?
Everyone deserves to feel safe in their home and in their community. And while a lot of our violent crime statistics are going down, people don't feel safer, so we have to do more. That's why I led the charge to get our Kentucky State Police the largest single pay raise in their history. We had seen our numbers tumble for over a decade, and now they're moving up with one of the largest forces we've seen in a while. We had the most applications that we have seen in years, which means especially our rural communities will have more law enforcement that will make them safer. I've pushed to increase the training fund for all of our local police officers and sheriff deputies so that we can encourage and have more. I've sent our National Guard to the border under both presidents I've served under, because border security is national security. And working with corrections, we've achieved the lowest recidivism rate in the history of Kentucky. But what he won't tell you is the numbers he's putting forward about those who are commuted. The vast majority of them, if they committed a crime, was after they would have already been out. They lie on this so much, they even ran an ad about an individual who never got out of jail at all.
Thank you, Mr. Beshear. Attorney General Cameron, your right to rebuttal, 30 seconds if you so choose.
Yeah, Andy Beshear has basically just shared with us that he has no plan to address the increase in violent crime that he caused. You don't feel safer because you're not safer under this governor. There has been a 68% increase in murders in our rural communities. There's been a 30% increase across the state. That's not something that the governor is going to be able to run from over the course of these next 2 or 3 weeks, because every time I have an opportunity to talk about how we need to protect our communities, I will do my best to make sure our law enforcement community knows that they have someone that's going to support them.
Thank you, Mr. Cameron. We're not done with public safety yet, so I'm going to let Larry ask his question because we may get to what you want to discuss.
Next question, and Mr. Beshear, we'll start with you. Another piece of that public safety plan deals with confiscated weapons that are used in crimes. Current law requires them to be sold to licensed gun dealers, which then, through Kentucky State Police, which can then be resold and end up right back on the streets. So, Mr. Beshear, I start with you. Do you support a pathway to destroy guns used in homicides in Kentucky? Why or why not? And how should they be destroyed?
Well, let me close out that final question by saying that the Attorney General is the top cop and the top prosecutor in the Commonwealth.
If Andy Beshear wanted to give me the Kentucky State
entirely, the fact that he just tried to blame me entirely for a rise in crime when he's the top cop shows you that he plays the blame game, the partisan game, and doesn't try to come with those solutions. In April, I lost one of my closest friends to a mass shooting. Sometimes it feels like 6 years ago, sometimes it feels like 6 minutes ago. And the fact that that murder weapon that killed my friend and so many others could be auctioned off to the highest bidder has shown me how much this harms victims and their families and the trauma that you undergo when you have someone that's been murdered. Listen, we have plenty of money to ensure that that fund that they go into is made whole, but let's not put a weapon that murdered somebody back on the street. Let's have more empathy than that.
And how should they be, Mr. Beshear, how should they be destroyed?
Well, when it's a weapon that absolutely, that murdered someone like my friend Tommy, destroy it in whatever way you want to. Make that law enforcement fund whole, but don't make families. I had to call my friend's wife to tell her that her husband was dead, because nobody else would at that time, and I didn't want her to have to sit around and wait. How it makes her feel, and everyone else to have that weapon auctioned off, it's just wrong.
Mr. Cameron, same question for you. Do you support a pathway to destroy these guns used in homicides in Kentucky? Why and why not, and how should they be destroyed? Again, you have 60 seconds.
Well, let me first say it was an absolute tragedy what happened at Old National Bank. And Governor, my condolences to you on the loss of a dear friend. And as I understand from talking to folks within the Louisville community and the Kentucky State Police, it sounds like an agreement will be struck to make sure that specific weapon is not being utilized anymore. And I certainly support that decision. But when it comes to the broader and larger picture, I'm going to stand up and support our Second Amendment rights. And I will do that as the next governor of the Commonwealth of Kentucky. I know Governor Beshear has a difference of opinion on this, but I'm always going to stand up for the Second Amendment. But let me just also say that if we are serious about addressing the issue of violent crime, especially in Louisville, let's put a Kentucky State Police post there. And look, if Andy Beshear, if we wanted to make an agreement at the end of this day where he gives the Attorney General the Kentucky State Police, I would gladly take it because I think I could do a better job helping run that enforcement agency than he has as governor.
Governor Beshear, you have the right to rebuttal. 30 seconds.
I believe in the Second Amendment and that any family or individual should be able to protect themselves. But I have enough empathy to say that a weapon used to murder somebody should not be auctioned off to the highest bidder, whether it's the one that killed my friend or anyone else. I'm proud to have led the Kentucky State Police, to have secured the highest raise they've ever seen. Putting a post in Louisville would take the 1 or 2 troopers that right now monitor and are around a rural county and eliminate them, making each of those rural counties less safe.
I think he pretty much referenced me.
Gil, of course, that was his rebuttal. We're not done with public safety yet. Gil Corsi, you've got the next public safety question.
And which one are we? Who are we starting with, Evan?
We will start with the Attorney General.
All right. Attorney General Cameron, the last point we're going to talk about in the public safety plan is the death penalty, which in Kentucky has not been used since 2008. Do you support expanding the death penalty in the Commonwealth? Why or why not?
Well, look, I put forward, Gilbert, a very robust public safety plan. And one of the things that's part of that public safety plan is that if you commit the ultimate act and murder a police officer, we need in Kentucky to be able to seek the death penalty. And again, it's because I've put forward this robust plan and spoke boldly on these issues that the Kentucky Fraternal Order of Police have endorsed my campaign for governor. Again, I cite this because in 2019, they endorsed Andy Beshear, but they didn't want to endorse him this time because they know that his leadership ends at the words that come out of his mouth. There is no action to back up his rhetoric. You need a governor that's going to stand with our law enforcement community and make sure our communities are safe. I put forward this plan. Kentucky doesn't have a standalone carjacking statute. Imagine if we had one, we could address those small issues that arise and prevent the larger societal issues from ever coming into play.
Thank you, Mr. Cameron. To you, Mr. Beshear, do you support expanding the death penalty in the Commonwealth? Why or why not?
I believe the last individual put to death in the Commonwealth is named Marco Allen Chapman. He slaughtered a family ruthlessly up here in northern Kentucky. I know the gravity of what it's like to be governor or around a governor because I sat up with my dad that entire night. There are some crimes so terrible and some people so dangerous that I do believe this law needs to continue on the books. It has been stayed, suspended by a judge for the last, nearly decade. And there is a real challenge in what the process is or has to be. It's going to continue to work its way through courts over these next several years. But I remember that case. And I remember those kids that never had an opportunity to grow up in this Commonwealth, to make memories like mine. That was a heinous crime that I believe still deserves this type of penalty.
A follow-up there directly. Would you support expanding the death penalty to other crimes in Kentucky?
Well, it would depend on the crime and, again, what comes to us. But right now, a court order is preventing any of those executions. What the court has said, and I worked through it as Attorney General, this one is too, that we have to get a constitutional process that different folks have worked towards over the years. The other thing is there is 3 separate drugs right now that have to be used in any execution, and none of the providers are providing them to virtually any state.
Thank you.
Attorney General Cameron, your right to rebuttal. 30 seconds if you so choose.
Well, look, I think we need to talk about the larger issue. This is a governor who has lost the trust of the law enforcement community. So much so that the biggest, and he touted this endorsement left and right in 2019. He said it's because they trusted him on issues related to public safety. Well, they don't trust him anymore. And it's for good reason, because he's let out these 2,000 criminals and 50% of them have recommitted felony offenses. That is not the leadership that we need in this state if we want to tamp down violent crime here in Kentucky.
Thank you, Attorney General. Gentlemen, panelists, this may surprise you. This needs to be our last question before closing statements already. So, panelists, I will let you decide who wants to take this last question and what we would like the last question to be.
We need that Jeopardy music here.
Right. Megan, you're taking the last question?
Yep.
It'll go to the governor.
Okay. The two of you have expressed different views on whether Medicaid benefits should come with a work requirement, an idea that you may or may not say is constitutional. Could you explain your opposition or support to a work requirement?
Healthcare is a basic human right, and the best way to get people back to work is to get them healthy enough. Tearing away their healthcare coverage while they're trying to get there won't help our workforce participation at all. I've worked with our hospital systems through and after a pandemic. We've increased reimbursement rates so much that healthcare is expanding in amazing ways across our Commonwealth. We are building the first hospital in the west end of Louisville in 150 years. We're building one in Bullitt County to reduce ambulance times. We have built pediatric autism centers in Pikeville and in Prestonsburg so families don't have to drive 2 hours to get the care they need. We just announced a new primary care center in Morgan County. No one should have to take 2 buses or drive 2 hours to get the health care they need. And what we ought to be doing is looking at targeted expansions. If we want you to go back to work, you need to be able to see well enough to drive to work. Let's get you a pair of glasses. It's pretty simple.
Mr. Cameron, same question. Could you explain your opposition or support to a work requirement?
Well, the governor keeps talking about these businesses opening, but the fact of the matter is we don't have the workforce to fuel these plants and these facilities and these new hospitals that are coming online. I mean, right now, there is a 22% vacancy as it relates to nurses in terms of a nursing shortage. This is largely because, and we do have the lowest workforce participation rate in this Commonwealth's history, and it is because of the policies of this governor. For the decision that he has made is to expand our welfare rolls and tell folks to stay at home. And then to add insult to injury, he had an unemployment office that was not providing unemployment funding to those people that were staying at home. Now they are still there, not working, and you all that are working, whether you're at home or here today, are subsidizing that. We need a governor who will be a work-first governor. That will be me. We'll get this Commonwealth moving and working again because it is the right thing to do when we have some of these plants and projects coming online.
Governor Beshear, you're right to a rebuttal.
Once again, the Attorney General isn't telling it straight. We have the most jobs filled ever in the Commonwealth, the lowest unemployment rate we've ever seen. And trying to blame people that through no fault of their own have lost their jobs and seek benefits is wrong. If you look at the last month we have the data for right now, August 2023 versus 2019, in 2023 we have less than half the filings for unemployment than we did in 19. People are getting to work. It's exciting. This is the best economic roll we've ever been on.
All right, gentlemen, it is now time for closing statements. Attorney General Cameron, we did a lot of coin flips earlier tonight. Attorney General Cameron, you won the coin toss. You chose to go second. That means Governor Beshear will take the first closing statement. Again, you have 90 seconds for each closing statement.
Thank you all for getting through this with us tonight. I hope that you saw exactly what I talked about. From me, a vision, a record of achievement, a red-hot economy, but also acknowledging the next steps we need to take. And from my opponent, attack after attack after attack. If you saw me smile a little bit in the response, it's because my wife, Brittany, is here tonight. We believe as a couple, when you're running, you should be for something and not just against someone. When you have a candidate that is so partisan, they only see the world in red or blue, that anything that good happens must be one party and anything that bad happens must be the other, it means he's going to leave out almost half the people of Kentucky. A good job isn't Democrat or Republican. Clean drinking water isn't partisan. That Brent Spence companion bridge without tolls is going to let everybody travel across it. the things we need to do. The fact that I'm going to be the governor that gets high-speed internet access to every single home and business, transform the lives of all of our people. Now, this candidate wants to bring the Washington, D.C. division and anger politics into Kentucky, and we cannot allow it. When you are on a historic win streak, you don't fire the coach. You don't sub out the quarterback. You put this team, that is all of us, Team Kentucky on the field. You rack up the wins, and you bring home those championships. This is our time to never be a flyover state ever again, but to be the destination. Let's grasp this potential. Let's grasp our destiny together.
Attorney General Cameron.
Well, thank you all again for having us tonight. And chances are that if you are watching, you have some real concerns about issues that are existing right in this Commonwealth. Perhaps you're concerned about inflation that's hurting your wallet. Perhaps you are concerned about low test scores that your kids are getting at school because this governor shut those schools down for nearly 2 years. You need a governor with a bold vision and plan for the future. That's why I'm running for governor. Make sure that we catch our kids up and that they have every educational opportunity to be the best and brightest version of themselves. I also am running to make sure that we reduce violent crime. Under this governor, we've seen 2,000 criminals get out of jail, and nearly or more than 50% of them commit felony offenses. We need leadership that's going to stand with our law enforcement community. That is why I am proud to be endorsed by the Kentucky Fraternal Order of Police. Finally, this governor talks about an economy that is on fire, but the fact of the matter is that 22,000 fewer Kentuckians are working since Andy Beshear took office. We have the lowest workforce participation rate in this country, and we also have a record of demonstrating time and time again that this governor will not stand up for your family and protect women's sports from biological males. When I'm governor, we will look out for our citizens, and we will make sure that this Commonwealth is a shining city on a hill.
Thank you both. Can you believe it? That's our time tonight already. I want to thank Governor Beshear, Attorney General Cameron again for being here. Let's give them a round of applause. It sounds like hyperbole, but what we did tonight is important. What the two of you are doing as candidates is important. Our panelists, thank you. What you have done as journalists in this campaign is important. So thank you. And to you at home and those of you in the audience, you're here because you care and you're passionate, and that is why we do what we do. A couple of reminders ahead of Election Day. You can visit govote.ky.gov. You can check your voter registration. You can apply for an absentee ballot with an excuse. The deadline for that is October 24th. And most importantly, you can find polling locations and hours in your county. Remember, Kentucky offers several voting options for you, including excused in-person voting and no excuse in-person voting. Plus, Election Day is Tuesday, November 7th. So, from all of our partners in this debate, from all of us here at WCPO 9 in Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky, thank you again. I'm Evan Millward. Remember, go vote, Kentucky.
Amen.